Hey friends, most of the time we tell some fun stories. Sometimes they're a little bit serious, but we usually have a good time telling stories. Today I'm going to read a story that my longtime friend Robbie sent to me to read to you. Robbie and I have been friends since we were 19. And so she wanted me to share this book with you to help you understand that when Oma Mary says she doesn't feel well, that she has this disease called cancer, we're hoping this book helps you understand a little bit better about what cancer is. Okay? So it's called Lifetimes. There is a beginning and an ending for everything that is alive. And in between is living. All around us, everywhere, beginnings and endings are going on all the time. With living in between, we're still living. This is true for all living things, for plants, for people, for birds, for fish, for trees, for animals, even for the tiniest insect. Nothing that is alive goes on living forever. How long it lives depends upon what it is and what happens while it's living. It may be sad, but it is the way of things, and it is true for everything that is alive. For plants, for people, for birds, for fish, for trees, for animals, even for the tiniest insects. There are lots of living things in our world. Each one has its own special lifetime. Trees that are tall and strong grow slowly, standing in the sunshine and in the rain. Some of them live for a very long time, as long as 100 years or more. That is their lifetime. Rabbits and mice grow up in only a few weeks. Then they go on to live for a year or two, crunching up carrots and nibbling the cheese until they grow old and very tired, and it is time to die. That is how it happens to be for rabbits and mice. It is the way they live, and it is their lifetime. Flowers and vegetables planted as seeds at the beginning of spring when the earth is warm grow quickly to live through the heat of summer. The days pass and then become old during autumn when it is cooler. Then, when winter comes and it is cold, they die. It is the way they live. That is their lifetime. Butterflies live as butterflies for only a few weeks. Once they have dried their wings, they flutter and flit from leaf to flower. At first they are bright and quick, but as time passes they begin to slow down until finally they can go no further. They rest for a while, and then they die. That is the way butterflies live. That is their lifetime. Birds grow up quickly too. It is often no more than a few months from the time they hatch until they're strong enough to fly and feed themselves. How they live after that seems to depend upon their size. Mostly, the bigger they are, the longer they will live. That is the way birds fly. Some for as long as 50 years, others no more than 2 or 3. But however long, it is their lifetime for each one. Fish swimming in lakes and rivers or in the sea can be so tiny it is hard to tell that they are there at all, or so big that the only way to describe them is enormous. Again, as far as we know, it seems that the smaller they are, the shorter will be their lifetime. But that is how it is for fish. They live their lives as little as a day or two, or as long as 80 or 90 years. It is the way they live, and those are their lifetimes. And people. Well, like everything else that is alive, people have lifetimes too. They live for about 60 or 70 years, sometimes even longer, doing all the things that people do, like growing up and being grown. And sometimes they don't live that long. It can happen, though, just as it does with other living things, that people become ill or get hurt. Mostly, of course, they get better again, but there are times when they are so badly hurt or ill that their illness will make them die because they can no longer stay alive. It may be sad, but that is how it is for people. It is the way they live. It is our lifetime. So no matter how long they are or how short, lifetimes are really all the same. They have beginnings and endings, and there is living in between. That is how things are. For plants, for people, for birds, for fish, for animals, for the tiniest insects everywhere. And so yes, Oma Mary is sick, and my lifetime is going to be short. But I am going to keep reading to you as long as my body lets me, as long as my body is not too sick. And we will read funny stories, and we'll read some serious stories, but I will keep reading to you. And if there are days that I don't feel well, you know why. I talked to my grandson about the dash. Do you know what that means? We're all born on some day. I was born April 21st, 1959. And my dash is what I do between the day I was born and the day I die. And that's when we live. And that's when we make the best of it. And that's when we love others and are kind and all the other things we've been learning about and reading about. Thank you for listening today, even though it wasn't really a funny story, but it is part of life. And I love you guys.